Perfect salt, good smoke, very peppery. Make sure y'all check out this recipe. Whether you prefer pastrami or corned beef, it all starts with a brisket. Wagwan everyone, my name is Kunchi. This is Cooking with Kunchi, and I have this detailed video for you guys today. Make sure you go check everything out in the description. The full recipe, full written recipe is up on my website. I've broken this down super easy where anybody can follow it, right? So I'm not going to show you a brisket trim. I'm not, like, we don't need to do all of that stuff. I have tons of videos. You can go check out any of my brisket videos and you can see trimming. You can also check out my beginner brisket series if you are a beginner doing brisket. Now today we are going to be doing pastrami because that is my preferred way. In this video we're going to talk about the difference and why I prefer one over the other. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe. Check out all my socials. Be sure to check out my weekly live shows, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. And join the Discord. Lots of fun stuff happening over there right now. So in my Cambro right here, we have a whole brisket submerged in the curing liquid. The ingredients and quantities are in the recipe linked in the description below this video. We are using pink curing salt, some pickling spice, kosher salt. We have some extra allspice and peppercorns. We let that come to a boil and then we allow that to steep to get all those flavors into the liquid. And then we submerged this brisket into it so that we can make our pastrami. So check out the rest of the video and we'll show you how we prepare it and then cook it. So this brisket for pastrami has been in this brine for 11 days. 10 to 14 days is how long you want to keep it. Now make sure you guys check out the full written out recipe up on the website so that you can follow that full recipe and make your own pastrami at home. You can do it all by yourself as long as you have the space and the means to do it. All right. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this from the brine liquid. I'm going to rinse this in cold water and then we're going to season it up. Make sure you guys stay tuned and check this out. To finish seasoning the brisket, all we're going to add is pepper. This is coarse pepper. Now typically anything 16 mesh or higher is going to be good. This is about 16 mesh, and so we're going to just hit it with the pepper. We don't need any binder or anything. The brisket's just coming out of a brine, right? It's got to be pretty wet. Let's go a little freehand here. And then this is going to sit in the refrigerator until we're ready to smoke it, just open to the air. Now, one of the things that we're hoping to do when you leave it open to the air, you are building up a pellicle on the exterior of the meat, and that allows smoke to adhere to the meat a little bit better. Now, that's not as important for things like brisket, pork butts, and so on, but for other proteins that you're not cooking for a long time, for example, fish, you want to leave it in the grill, in the fridge for a little bit to build up that pellicle. That way you have surface area for that smoke to adhere to. You see that? No binder, and we're getting good coverage here. Just the pepper. The brisket had a huge gash right there. I don't know how that's gonna look at the end. I'm gonna have to figure it out. But I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to lose that piece of the point, man. That's a lot of flavor up there, baby. All right. Now, if you guys want to see trimming video, you can go over to my brisket playlist, my beginner brisket playlist, where I have a full detailed trimming tutorial for you guys. Really slowed down, good close-up shots of all the cuts and trims that I make. So make sure you guys go check that out. And then this is what we're doing. So we don't need to go too crazy, but this is what we're looking forward to. All right, there we go. Pepper, just pepper on the outside. So I ran a poll all over social media on every platform that I create content, and overwhelmingly everybody suggested the Weber kettle to cook this brisket. So in true Cooking with Kunchi fashion, we are going to be running the snake method in the 22-inch kettle. I'm going to show you guys a full video of cooking with the snake method. Now, if you want to see how we set up the snake method and hear all about it, you can read about it on my website, and I will pin a video down in the description of just setting up the snake method. All right, so B&B briquettes, the best briquettes on the market for your barbecue needs. We're going to use that because they have no fillers, no additives, and they're just overall a good company. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to fire up this kettle. We're going to start with 6 briquettes, and then we'll see you in the next clip. So just a brief overview. The snake method is set up in the Weber kettle. We're using 2 rows of briquettes, one on the bottom, one on top. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to light 6 briquettes. I'm going to try my best just to light 6 briquettes, and then we're going to get 1 big wood chunk stacked at the bottom, 1 on top. We're going to put the grates on. We're going to get this all ready to go. Now I know I'm going to get some questions about the setup, so let me just give you guys a little bit of information here. So the way I have it set up, I do have wood all the way to about halfway of the snake. I'm hoping that the brisket's going to be done around here. Now, why do I put wood all the way around? Typically, I do not wrap my briskets, so there's no true way to tell when brisket or when meat stops taking on smoke. So I'm going to allow it to be smoking the whole way through. If you want less smoke flavor, you do not have to put it all the way around, but that is totally up to you. There's no rule. This is how I do it. Now you can do it with less wood, you can do it with more wood. Just have your own merry way with this thing. Now, what's going to happen is one briquette is going to light the other, and so on in a domino fashion all the way around. very slowly. Typically, this setup is going to run me about 16 to 18 hours. I've seen the snake on the 22 run me 21 hours before, so this is pretty efficient. The reason why we don't get dirty smoke from the snake is because now that these briquettes are heating up the chamber, the briquettes are now hot, the wood is now hot, everything is primed and ready. So once a lit piece of charcoal touches the other, it lights easily and quickly, and there is no dirty smoke. All right. So if you want to get the best flavor, make sure you are using B&B briquettes or any of the other briquettes on the market that do not have artificial chemicals and fillers in the briquettes. If you wanted to use a water pan, this is where you would put your water pan in the bottom right here. I do not cook with a water pan. I think it puts more steam on your meat, and I'm not interested in that either. The one key thing that you must know about setting up the snake also is that when you're adding your lid to the snake or to the kettle, you want your fire to be opposite your top vents. Right now what I'm doing, I have the bottom vents wide open, the top vents wide open, and we are going to let that go for about 45 minutes and we'll see where our temps land. Typically with this, after about 45 minutes, we're about 180, 190 degrees. And that will be sufficient to put your meat on and let it go. So we're gonna see what it looks like after 45 minutes, and then you guys will kind of have a ballpark of where you should be. So it's been 45 minutes since we started the snake method, and you guys can see this smoke is super clean. We have no dirty smoke here. Now it's time to put the meat on the smoker. What I'm doing now is I just drop the bottom vents halfway open, and now I'm going to put the brisket on. Now you want to look exactly how I'm putting this brisket on. I'm putting the flat of the brisket in between the gap on the snake, right? So this is the beginning of the snake, right here is the end. We have the flat right here. Because it is the thin part of the meat, we want to put it where the fire is going away, and then the fire is going towards the point, right? This is thick, it can take the heat. Now you can pull this a little bit away from the charcoal here if you can, and that will be great. So what I'm going to do now, I trust the snake. I've used it many times. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna sleep for about 5 or 6 hours. When I come back, I'll check on it and we'll see how it does. Again, remember, we want the on top to be opposite the hot coals, all right? And we can kind of lead it a little bit since I'm gonna go to bed for a little while, right? So it has a little bit of ways to burn. This allows the smoke and the heat to come across the meat and exit this way. If you put the vents over the fire, you're going to have a hotter fire, and all that heat and smoke is going to go through, making your smoke inefficient. So it's been 6 hours since we had this brisket on the smoker. Let's go ahead and check it out. This is the first look. I haven't looked at it before. So let's get a look here. And right now, the fire is right about here, so we can say it's about halfway on the brisket. So what we're gonna do, man, it's looking good. All right, we can see just getting a little bit of bark on it. So let's go ahead and put that on the other side. Right now, at this point, I'm going to start monitoring the temp. So I'm going to stick my thermometer in there, and I'm using the Temp Spike Plus Dual Probe. You guys can find that in my Amazon store. Let me go. So I like to monitor in the center of the brisket. So we're gonna let that go, put it back, and now we have the vents still opposite the heat because it had burnt for all those hours that it moved away. But now we're gonna get a better handle on the temperature, and then we'll continue going. So we're gonna cook until we're probe tender. We're not gonna mess with it, and I may wrap or may not. So let's see how the rest of this cook turns out. A lot of times people ask me, why do I trust the snake method? So even though the lid thermometer is saying that is just over 300, and that's right above the fire, the actual ambient temp, according to my temp spike, is 230 degrees. The lid thermometer is always going to be higher than the actual temp just because of its location. And once you understand this about the snake method and your grill, then you can pretty much know what you can get away with using the snake. So give it a try, but you got to be making sure that you're using the B&B briquettes. So now that I know what the snake method is doing, I know how the brisket looks, I'm not going to check on it for a really long time. So I'm monitoring using my Temp Spike Dual Probe thermometer. And what I'm gonna do is when I see the brisket looks about 180 degrees or so internal, that's when I'll come look at it. I'll look at the bark, I'll see what it's doing, and then I'll decide if I want to wrap it or not. The pastrami is more about the bark, so I'm trying to do what is best to get the best possible bark in this cook. Right now we are 163 degrees, so we are at the stall. This is not gonna move in temperature significantly for the next 2 to 3 hours. I'm not going to come out here and check on it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm able to just look at the temperature, see what it's doing, and then know what I need to do. The snake is going to run for the next few hours, so we're not going to run out of fuel. We can go find other shit to do. All right, today I'm cleaning my whole patio, cleaning all my grills, all of that stuff. So stay tuned for the next clip. So the brisket is reading 203 degrees in the center of the meat. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to check and see what the actual temp is all throughout the brisket. If it probes tender, we're going to pull it. If it does not, I may wrap it in some butcher paper, but let's take a look. So we're going to take a look here and see where we're at. I'm using my Inkbird. I've had this Inkbird meat thermometer for 5 years now. Has never let me down. So we can see the brisket is not probe tender all over. On the point, it is probe tender, but right here on the flat, it's not. And I usually monitor in the center, and this is why I do not pull my brisket at a certain temp. I have to make sure that it's all done. So right now, what is happening is that this is most likely reading that temperature that is where the flat meets the point, and so that is not going to be the most accurate. So we're getting some. So let's go here. This is now on the flat because we already know now that this side is done. We're gonna keep this right here and let it continue to cook, but I think I'm going to wrap it up with some butcher paper. So right now the brisket is saying 190 degrees internal. I'm going to wrap this one up. I haven't wrapped the brisket in a while. I typically do foil boat. You can see in my beginner brisket series videos how I do the brisket. So we're gonna wrap this one up and see where we're at. If you want to wrap your briskets, there's a couple things that you gotta take into account. Don't wrap at a certain number. Wrap when the bark is set. So right now, this bark, if I wrap it now, it's not gonna go anywhere, right? That pepper is solid on there. It's looking really good. So now we're just wrapping it up for the finish, and it's probably gonna be wrapped up for about an hour or two. Now this brisket has been cooking fat down. You can see right there. It's good rendering on the fat. Nice and crispy. Now on the butcher paper, I like to go in the middle here. And here, we're just going to back on the smoker. So I'm putting it kind of close to the heat. So we want this to just finish getting tender. That is the mission here. I'm going to go ahead and stick the thermometer back into the flat. All right. So we're going to cover this down, and then in a couple hours, we'll see where we're at. When this part of the brisket reaches to about 198 degrees, that's when I'm going to start probing tender in the flat to make sure everything is good. Stay tuned. So the brisket is done, and the reason why I know it's done is because it's probe tender. So I don't go by a certain temp in my briskets. I go by when I slide that probe in there. There is no resistance, just like over here. And I'm mainly checking in the flat because the point is already tender, okay? So we're gonna remove this thermometer here, and we're gonna be resting this in my Vivor meat carrier, okay? So we're just gonna put this in the pan here. And I don't let it cool down or anything. I just go straight to this. We are going to have this resting for about 4 hours. About 3.5 to 4 hours. So that's gonna stay in there. But let me show you guys what the snake looks like at this time. So the snake method has been cooking, actually cooking since 1 a.m. this morning. It is now 1:45 p.m. You guys can see what is left. This is how many briquettes are left right here. So we can say the snake method did really good. It was running between 250, 275 most of the time. This morning when I woke up and checked on the grill, I opened the vents on the bottom wide open, but for the night leading into the morning, it was closed down halfway. So at that point, it was like 225. This morning when I woke up, I was just like, I'm gonna wide open and let it do its thing. So the snake method is a success again. Please stay tuned and check out the finished product. We're gonna slice this brisket and make pastrami sandwiches with my wife's homemade bread. Take care. Beautiful.